Welcome back to the TED Show. I'm always excited to have a guest on who's going to talk about a local nonprofit. And today we have Deputy Carlton Tipton on the show with us. We're going to talk about Red Suitcase Ministry. Very excited to learn more about that and certainly more about the name. Welcome to the show, Carlton. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I'm honored to have you on. Thank you for your service. I said that earlier.
Appreciate it.
So I want people to know about you. It's always good for people to understand the journey, how you got from point A to point B, and how you kind of got involved in Red Suitcase Ministry. So give us a 411 on your background.
Okay, well, going way back, I am a native Floridian. There's not many of us that are native to Florida at my age. I'm in my early 50s. My father came down in 1967 I live in the Orlando area, and he came down here as one of the original college professors for Seminole State College. Back then it was called Seminole Junior College. And I was born a year later, and then I spent my childhood in Sanford, attended all the Sanford area schools. Again, my father was a professor. He actually was a professor at Seminole State College, Rollins College, Nova Southeastern. I fell in love with football. I went off and played some college football in Kentucky, small school called Kentucky Wesleyan College. And I spent 4 years there. I got my degree in criminal justice. At an early age, I knew I wanted to get involved in law enforcement. And I wanted to become a Sanford police officer. But when I came back in 1990 after graduating from college, the Seminole County Sheriff's Office was a better fit for me. So I was hired in February of 1991 as a sheriff's deputy. I fell in love with the profession. I was on midnight shift for about 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
At the same time I came back and got hired, though, I also wanted to continue my football because I loved football. And I got plugged into Sanford Pop Warner. I started coaching the youth football in Sanford while I was a deputy. And then at about the 6 or 7 year mark of my career, I got transferred into the juvenile division because of my work with kids. I've always loved working with kids, with coaching. And I got put in the juvenile division. I spent a year in juvenile probation as a probation supervision deputy. We started a brand new unit called the Intensive Community Supervision Unit. I did that for about a year. Had recently got married. I had 2 stepsons, had a daughter. That job was just a little bit kind of stressful for a young family. So at that time I transferred into the DARE program, the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program. Just loved that. I fell in love with the DARE program, did that for about 4 or 5 years. Then I transitioned into high school coaching at about the same time. I did the Pop Warner for about 10 years. I've always been a cop and a coach. That's why a lot of times I'll say a coach, cop coach on all my stuff. So I've been both the same amount of time.
I love it.
So I started my high school coaching career at Lake Mary High School. And then about a year later, I transferred in as a school resource deputy in 2002. So that's where I'm at now. I'm at Lake Mary High School. I've been here for almost 20 years. What happened was, after starting my career in 2002 as a coach, high school coach and a school resource deputy, in 2016, I did my 25 years and I was ready to retire. And I did. February of 2016, I retired from law enforcement, and I was still coaching, and I wanted to stay in the high school. So I became a high school teacher.
Did you really?
I became a high school teacher. Yeah, I come from a family of teachers. Like I said, my father was a professor. My mom was a teacher. Both my sisters are teachers. So it's kind of in my blood to teach. And being a DARE officer at that one point was pretty much teaching as well. So I started off at my alma mater at Seminole High School, and I was coaching football there. I became a environmental science teacher. And, I didn't feel like I was a good fit there. So I said, well, I don't want to give up on teaching. So let me go back to Lake Mary High School. Let me teach what I really want to teach, which was history. So the next school year, this would have been 2017, 2018 school year, I became a history teacher at Lake Mary High School, back where I'd spent my 15 years prior as a school resource deputy. Did that for halfway through the year. I was like, no, this teaching, it's easier to be a cop than a teacher. This is tough. This is tough.
That I believe.
Yes. So that Christmas time, I got with my captain, and they were actually putting 2 deputies into Lake Mary High School because previously I was the only deputy there. but because of the state mandate after the Parkland Douglas shooting, they wanted 2 deputies in most high schools. So he said, yeah, come on back. And so May of 2018, I got rehired for my second career, my second stint in law enforcement. And I got reassigned to Lake Mary High School, and I've been here ever since.
What a full circle, basically. You
Sorry, I
came
said
in.
Bill.
I know. That's okay. I love the fact, first of all, that is funny that going back to being a deputy was easier than being a teacher. I love that. I think that teachers are underrated, underpaid. I also think that about deputies too. But I feel like that is such a cool thing to have both of those backgrounds and be able to serve your community. What, for people who are listening, and we're going to get into Red Suitcase Ministry, what should people know about being a deputy? I ask this whenever I've had Sheriff Lima on. What is it that people don't understand about what you do that you wish the general person in the neighborhood should know?
Well, I think a lot of times a lot of people, especially in the little rougher areas, they just see us as a uniform and a badge. They don't really look. So I believe if they would get, the areas where we patrolled or the road patrol, if they get to know who we are, because most, if not such a high percentage of law enforcement officers are really all about helping people. Yes. Really what it comes down to, putting our lives on the line, putting our, everything on the line just to help people, whether it be something majorly serious as life and death situation, or even just helping somebody. A lot of times law enforcement officers will be involved with helping an elderly person that maybe even like something's wrong with their house, like they got to fix something in their house, and they take the time to do that even on or off duty. So just that law enforcement officers in general are just about loving on people, helping people, and in any way we can. So that's what I think that general public kind of really should know about us. Not about power, not about force and this and that. It's really about just the love of community and being a force for good in the community.
Every police officer, deputy, sheriff I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, being friends with, talking to, it's all about that giving back and that loving on people and protecting people. And I think it's such a huge sacrifice. So again, thank you, because I think we need to educate people. They need to stop watching some of the television shows. They also need to stop listening to the people who scream the loudest, because you guys do such an amazing job every day. So thank you. All right, let's talk about Red Suitcase Ministry. I love a good name. So Red Suitcase has to have some sort of background. So tell us about the background and tell us about the nonprofit.
Yeah, I would love to. July of 2020. I was in one of my favorite restaurants in downtown Sanford, and I was with some of my family members, and we just finished eating lunch, and we were walking down the beautiful streets of downtown Sanford, and I was walking past a doorway, a little cubby hole area of an abandoned business, and I saw this elderly gentleman sitting on a walker next to one of those big red, big suitcase on the wheels, big red suitcase, and he had his tattered Bible next to him, and he was just sitting there, and he was very well dressed, and he was clean shaven and clean cut, and he reminded me of my grandfather, the way he looked, and he didn't look like a homeless person that was living on the streets. Like he really looked like somebody that was maybe lost, or that somebody that was waiting on a ride somewhere. So I walked past him with my family, and then I'm a man of faith. In 1998 I gave my life to Jesus, and I became a born-again Christian, because if you were here in that time frame, in 1998, my father was tragically killed. Sorry, school bell. My father was tragically killed in the tornadoes that ripped through Sanford in 1998.
I remember that.
Yeah, but during that time, I really felt a calling from God to give my life to Him, which I did. So, anyways, that day back in 2020. I walked past this gentleman, and I was just led like a divine intervention. God just kind of told me to go back to talk to him. So I went back, and I just simply said, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need anything?" And he was like, "Oh, no, I'm fine. He was, very stoic and very guarded. And he's like, I'm fine. I've been living on these streets for 2 years. I don't need any help. I'm good. And I was like, well, okay. I didn't know if you were waiting on a ride somewhere because I can help you out. And he goes, no, I'm good. I get disability and I get VA benefits. And I was like, oh, you're a veteran. He goes, yeah, I was in the Army. I got drafted by John F. Kennedy in artillery, U.S. Army. And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, I said, well, maybe I can help. So my thought process was, maybe I can just find this guy a room to rent. I said, well, how much can you afford? I can afford $400 a month, but nobody wants to sell me a room for $400 a month. So I got to live. I'd rather just live on the streets. And so I was like, no, there's no way. This guy, I can find somewhere for him to live for $400 a month. I know. So, so I took a picture of him. He didn't even know it. So I took a quick picture with him next to his red suitcase. And I got back to my truck. And right away, I put that on Facebook. And within moments, people started contacting me. We want to help. We want to donate. We want to help. And I was like, well, I'm looking for if you have a room to rent for $400 a month. And people wanted to give money. And I was like, okay, well, all of a sudden I got this connection from this couple called Tom and Penny Shipe, who run a nonprofit, Jesus Over the Road Ministries out in Sanford. And they renovate RVs. And they actually, I called her like within an hour, and they had just lost a 80-year-old veteran, because this man I just met named Richard was 80 years old. They had just lost an 80-year-old veteran that they were running an RV to, and he had just passed away. And it was almost like God was making this connection where I was going to bring them another 80-year-old veteran to rent the RV out, because there's like family to them. They fall in love with you. They're like caretakers. And I was, so anyways, I got connected, but they charged $500 a month. So I was like, excuse me, I had a phone call. I was like, maybe we can make this connection. I can raise money for the extra $100 a month. So then my vision was to let me just take this real quick.
You're good.
Kim, I'm going to have to call you right back. Okay. So within a few hours into that evening, we raised $1,200. I never even done a Facebook fundraiser. We had $1,200 raised, so we had that extra money for the rent. So then I set out that next morning to go find Richard and try to hook him up with Tom and Penny. Took me a little while driving around Sanford. I was getting discouraged, and I found him. I saw him on the steps with this red suitcase. So I made contact with him. If you look at our website, you can see the video of when I first rediscovered him. Took him out there to the property. He loved it. He just said, "I'll give it a shot." It was right. The trailer was right on a beautiful little pond. And so he said, "I'll try one night." So he stayed the night. The next morning, I picked him up for church, and he was like, "I think I'll stay. I like it." So I was like, "Yes." So problem solved, I thought. Well, next thing I know, as the days pass, these people start donating money. It was like getting into the thousands. Within a week, we had almost $20,000 raised for this veteran. And the news channels were picking it up, and Channel 9, Channel 2, Channel 6, Channel 35, they came out, started doing stories on us. And I was like, what am I going to do with all this money? And it was almost like God said, buy him a new trailer, because the RV he was living in was very old and small. And so let's buy him a bigger RV. So we set out the next couple of days, and almost again, like God led us to this Vietnam veteran that was living in Kissimmee. His mom had just passed away. He had this beautiful 30-something foot, just a few-year-old RV. We went out. I took Richard out there. We fell in love with it. And the guy said, God told me to hold this for you guys for some reason. I could have sold it for more money to other people, but I feel like it's for Richard, a veteran to a veteran. And so we purchased that. We got it delivered, and we had the news cameras out there, like a ribbon cutting ceremony. And next thing you know, I was sitting there getting interviewed by Channel 35. And I was like, hey, this is an amazing story of the love of people, the love of God. You had this veteran living on the streets out of this red suitcase. I turned to this red suitcase, and now look at this. And I turned over here, and there's this beautiful RV. Within a week, what can God do? What can people do? And then I kind of spoke this out. I said, well, maybe I'm supposed to do something bigger. Maybe God wants me to start a foundation or a ministry called the Red Suitcase Ministry to help people. And I spoke that out. And then here we are 2 years later.
There are so many beautiful things about it. I'm also a man of faith. I talk about it on the show a lot. I think that when God has an idea, it's going to get implemented, and he's going to hook you up whether you're ready for it or not. And what a beautiful story, though. And Richard is the red suitcase guy. So now I know. I love that. And I think it's such an underserved need in the community, because we have so many veterans. We have so many people on the street. We have so many veterans who do have money coming in, who do have some ability, but because of the insane affordable housing issue that we have, it's just almost impossible for them.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of pride, and I understand that. And so you get tired of asking for help and getting turned down. And so it's very demoralizing, and it's very hard on all of the people who are out there on the streets trying to figure out how can I get in to a place. And so I want to encourage anybody who watches those people on the streets to remember that they either are trying or at one time were trying, and the system just was not there for them. So where are we at now? Tell me about Red Suitcase Ministries now, because obviously you've grown.
Yeah, well, that was like I said, July, August of 2020, and then March of 2021. God gave me this amazing team of people that are my friends, that are all. We have a pastor, we have a business owner, we have a school administrator. All these different people came aboard. My daughter, like 6 or 7 people, that we formed a board. We incorporated. We became a 501c3 nonprofit. We created this amazing website. You see it there scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Our Facebook page is really where we put a lot of our well, anyways, what we started off is we call them community blessing missions, and we started with just we would get a referral in through our website or through Facebook, and then we would vet it, and then we would take on this community blessing mission. And it started like in April, I think, or June of 2021. And our first one was helping this family that was down on their luck. They had a farm and their air conditioner went out. We started off with blessing them and getting their air conditioning fixed. That was blessing mission number 1. All the way up until right now, we're on blessing mission 50, about to hit our 50th milestone. And we've done God has done amazing things. We've been on the news several times. We've had a single mom with 4 kids that was living with nothing in an apartment. We were able to furnish her whole apartment. We were able to, another family took in, I think, 3 foster kids. We were able to get 6, they had a total of 8 kids. We got them 6 or 8 sets of bunk beds. We've done a renovation of a man that had was getting a lot of fees from a city for the code violations. We redid his AC, his yard, his garage door. We've done we've given away, I think, on 4 cars now to single moms. Wow. That had no means of transportation. We've given a van away to an addiction, a women's receiving addictions facility that was in need of a van. We got them a vehicle. So if you look at our website or our Facebook page, you'll see all these amazing videos of how God has used us to bless those are burden. Our mission verses comes from Galatians 6:2. It says, bear the burdens of each other, thus fulfilling the law of Christ. So that's kind of our mission verse that we're just kind of Red Suitcase Ministry. What we are is we're just a group, an organization that finds a need in the community, of somebody that's burdened in the community. A lot of it's single moms. And wherever that burden, that need is, we try to match it with people out that want to help, that want to bless, that want to get involved, that just don't know how. And we're just that organization that connects the need with the people that want to help. And a lot of times we just do it through, we don't have any kind of grants, we don't have any kind of government money. We just fundraise on Facebook, and God always provides, and we always are able to meet. There's only 1 mission out of 50 that we haven't been able to meet yet. That's a $40,000 mission of a woman that needs her house redone. We're not giving up. We're believing as we grow, we can maybe start applying for some federal grants. We can get money in that way, and we just want to. And one of our big visions that God gave me is there's a church in Los Angeles called the Los Angeles International Church that has this dream center, that they made this old hospital into this dream center, that they take in homelessness and addiction, addicts and families and veterans and education, and they feed the community. And it's called the Dream Center. It's huge. And one of our visions one day is to get big enough where we can take over a abandoned hotel here in Sanford, or there's the old New Tribes Mission building on the lakefront, and just take that over and make our own little dream center here. We can help with all these issues, especially addictions and homelessness that plague our community right now, and just be like a center where they can be healed, saved, and delivered from these things. So that's our long-term goal. We'll keep doing what we're doing. We'll keep taking in burdens. We'll keep taking in people that need help, and we'll do our very best to, if there's a need, we'll try to meet it. If there's a wound, we'll try to heal it. And we'll just keep doing that. And until God gives us more, we're open and we're asking for more. We want to do more. And so that's kind of where we're at right now.
It's beautiful. I know that the website is scrolling across the bottom, Red Suitcase Ministry.com. I want people to get involved. This is a month where a lot of people open up their checkbooks, and but you know, it's, if you don't have the money, it's also about resources. One thing Carlton just mentioned is one of their ladies wants to try to do some renovation. So anybody out in the construction arena out there, anybody who has connections and resources, don't have to be a check all the time. So make sure that you really consider that. Listen to what Carlton has to say, and then go to redsuitcaseministry.com. Carlton, I love to ask the story because in my mind, people like you are a hero. When I say the word hero, who's the first person who comes to mind for you?
Jesus Christ would be the number one person that comes to my mind, and my father. My father.
Tell me why. You can tell me why.
Well, you know, of course, Jesus, because of what he did for us on the cross. But my father instilled in me. We grew up in Sanford, around the outskirts of some of the lower income areas, inner city areas. And my dad always, I was on sports teams when I was little. He always encouraged me to reach out to the kids that didn't have what we had. And so he would always encourage me to befriend the kids that were different, the kids that were, and that, you know, just that looked like they just weren't well off as everybody else. And I would. And so that's who would come over to my house. That's who I hang out with. As a matter of fact, a cool little story. My dad, I love football. When I was going into the 6th grade, I wanted to play tackle football. And so he took me out to this team out in South Seminole near Castleberry. And it was this amazing team, uniforms, beautiful, you know, all African or all Caucasian. And I was like, oh, I was going to be on this team. It's going to be awesome. And they, oh, no, wait. You live in Sanford. You got to play for Sanford. Oh, okay. So I was still excited. And so we drove to sit back to Sanford, and then we went to this field, and it was rocks and sand spurs and mismatched uniforms, and everybody was African-American. And I was like, that's okay, Dad. I think I'll just stick with baseball. He goes, no, son, you said you wanted to play. Get out there. So he pushed me out there, and all those guys tried to kill me every day. But I tell you what, he wouldn't let me quit, and I persevered, and those guys became some of my closest friends. And I realized that it's not the color of your skin, it's your heart. And that if my dad wouldn't have done that, I probably wouldn't be here right now, because that got me through high school and into college and what I do now with coaching. So that's kind of why my dad is my hero as well.
All right. What a joy to have you on, my friend. All right. You guys go to redsuitcaseministry.com. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Carlton. We'll have him tagged and everything. Please come back anytime. What a blessing it was to listen to you, the passion and compassion in your voice. That testimony is strong and palpable. So God bless you, and God bless everybody who's in the ministry and also benefiting from the ministry. So thank you, Deputy Carlton Tipton. We'll see you guys soon. Get out and get involved. Get back to our local philanthropies like Red Suitcase Ministry. We'll see y'all.